I love to learn. And so this week, rather than share with you my recent thoughts, I wanted to share with you some of the best things that I've been reading and learning and continuing to think about over the past several months. I've organized these into higher education, into leadership, and on the experience of being human in these times. The first piece around higher education is from Mike Gavin, who runs the Alliance for Higher Education. And it's called "We Did Not Bring This on Ourselves, but We Watched as It Happened." And Gavin says higher education is not to blame for the pickle we find ourselves in, but we could have done more to speak up and take a stand and push back early on when we could have really made a change, and gives us some thoughts about how we can continue to do that and navigate through this. I had Mike Gavin, and his colleague, Dr. Liliana Garces, on the podcast Student Affairs Now a few months ago. And they're both very clear about the challenges we're facing and how we can lead through them. The second piece is "Trust Isn't the Issue" by Charlotte Canning. And Charlotte points out that trust isn't the issue. We hear a lot in higher education about how we need to rebuild trust. And Charlotte argues that we need to focus more on truth. A lot of people are not telling the truth about higher education. They are intentionally, purposely, and disingenuously lying about higher education to benefit their political or financial gain. We need to be clear about that so we can navigate through it. The final piece in this higher education is from Mays Imad on confronting moral injury in higher education. And Mays Imad is quickly becoming one of my favorite voices on higher education leadership and change and navigating what we're facing. She's an expert on neuroscience and trauma-informed care and transformational leadership. And in this piece, she talks about the importance of naming the moral injury we experience in higher education and how we can metabolize that into moral courage so we can work towards transformation. And if we don't name it, we don't metabolize that, we can really stay stuck and pay a price. The next section is on leadership. And the first one is from one of my go-to sources on leadership, the Conscious Leadership Group. And here Joyce Chen is sharing a piece, "The Leadership Patterns That Leaves You Carrying Everything." And she outlines the difficult conversations that leaders are often avoiding and in turn suffering themselves. Will often avoid the challenging conversation to just suffer and take on more work and do more things. And she argues that if we can have these conversations, if we can get out of our own way, it is better for them, it is better for us, and it is better for our leadership. A challenging piece that I think will resonate with many of you. The next two pieces are from The Athletic and lessons on leadership from the world of sport. The first is on meditation, pointing out that Kobe Bryant meditated, and so the author tried that. Now, I'm not a fan of Kobe Bryant for the obvious reasons, but I do love meditation. And most of this piece is about the author trying meditation, experimenting, and exploring it, and the positive benefits that the author experienced. Now, meditation changed my life, and it's something that I'm often recommending to the leadership coaching clients that I'm working with, and I think this would be helpful. The second piece is on 20 nuggets on leadership from the world of sports, and the author Jason Jenks pulling from so many interviews from the world of sports that can be applied in life and leadership. A real succinct, curated list, and I love those. In fact, I'm giving you one right now. The next realm is on staying grounded in these complex times. These are two very challenging pieces. The first one is called "Riding the Leopard" by Packy McCormick in their newsletter, Not Boring. This is a piece about leadership, about technology, about philosophy, and about spirituality. I've reread it several times, and I keep coming back and thinking about it. There's a lot to unpack here, and I hope it gives you some food for thought. And the final one is called "The End Isn't Nigh" by Oliver Burkeman. Now, Burkeman is the author of 4,000 Weeks, a book I love and often recommend. He's an expert on productivity and mindfulness and awareness and what's beyond our control. His take on productivity is often you shouldn't try and be so productive. In this piece, he argues that the times we are living through right now, we shouldn't catastrophize, not because they're not bad, but they've often been worse. And so that perspective is challenging. This isn't a naive, everything's great. This is a deep-seated look at history, and that we shouldn't be so naive to think that things have always been great, and we're just happen to be facing the most challenging times because we're facing the challenges. Again, a challenging perspective, but one I think many of you might find helpful. Here are some of the most thought-provoking pieces that I've been reading and thinking about over the past several months. Let me know what you think. Would you like more of these or never again? I hope this is helpful, good reading, and I'd love to hear from you.